Hello, one last time for today. As I mentioned before, I promised we would talk about tonight's full moon in Libra. So let's, because I didn't directly address that. Now, this full moon in Libra, full moons are always about endings. They're always about wrapping things up. But this particular full moon lands on exactly the day that the astrological new year starts, since the sun is moving from Pisces into Aries, which is the first sign of the zodiac. We're starting a new astrological year, and it's this paradoxical situation where we are starting something new. We are starting a new way of being, a new way of expressing ourselves, of being ourselves, of asserting ourselves, but also we are wrapping up things of who we were related to relationships. Libra being ruled by Venus, which, as I have mentioned, Venus rules relationships, friendships, values, money. Um, Libra, in particular, focuses on love, beauty, friendships, and that, in that sense, this new moon is about ending things with many relationships, ending the way that we've related to certain people, the way that we developed certain friendships or certain relationships that we were in, or wrapping our minds around why certain relationships came to a close, and making up our minds about keeping it that way, participating in that, or why we chose to do that in the first place. And in that sense, tonight is bound to be very intense. Um, Not just because of what this full moon represents, not just, and especially in the cases of those of you with important planets in Aries or important planets in Libra, but also because this lands on exactly a time in which Venus, being the ruler of Libra, so the signs are often affected by where the ruling planet is at. Venus currently being in Aquarius forms, it's going to eventually, as the moon progresses, it's going to form a trine to, Venus and the moon, Libra and Aquarius. But the thing is, what we are ending is relationships that didn't really fit in with our sense of ethics, being Aquarius, sense of ethics, the way we think about how we should relate to society or what role we play in society. And it's also going to be about the ways in which we approached relationships, we approached love, that included a lot of vengeful behavior or vengeful impulses based on these ideas that we have, because Venus is conjunct Lilith, also in Aquarius. So it's about this full moon, in that sense, is about putting an end to relationships that have a lot of bad blood, relationships that produced a lot of resentment, or have produced a lot of resentment and need to end, or that you need to find a new way to relate to these people, to this or this person. So do keep that in mind as everything else is going on, because this might also be a day in which many of us decide to stop relating to certain people. This might very well be a day in which someone's approach to you or how they talk to you just totally changes, and it's likely to be based on that. It's likely to be based on either a lot of unspoken resentment or very much spoken and openly expressed resentment that needs to end. But this is done not just because we want to live in harmony, which would be the Libra approach by itself. It's the sun in Aries. It's also because this is a way of being true to ourselves. And we are healing ourselves because, remember, the sun is conjunct Chiron, which is about healing. And what is healing? Well, Chiron being in Aries, we're healing ourselves. We're healing our sense of self. So, in a lot of ways, ending relationships or putting an end to conflicts in relationships, in friendships, is going to be something that we are going to be pushed to do today out of a sense of authenticity. something that we're doing to be true to ourselves, or because there is something about who we are, how we see ourselves, how we define ourselves, that is simply not compatible with relating to someone this way or relating to this person anymore. And so this, to some people, it's going to be seamless, it's going to be harmonious, it's going to be a relatively easy process, but to some people it's bound to be tough. It's going to bring some really difficult emotions. And since this is coupled with Mercury retrograding through Pisces, being conjunct Neptune, there's a lot of things deep in our subconscious that has been increasingly coming to the surface, but now that they're conjunct, it's like plain to see in our mind's eye. And so if this means that relationships that are stable, that are healthy, are necessary for you to lean on, if you need to cry, by all means, make yourself that space today, because you are likely going to need it. Blessed be everybody.